all I have to say is GQ, thank you. Because of you, we get this. This is the BTS cover shoot with GQ, and afterwards we even have an article where they interviewed the guys. They talked a little bit more. I don't know exactly about what, but I know there is an article. I have it saved, and you guys had sent it to me, so thank you all who did that. But dear God, the sheer pure beauty, the shine just coming off this screen, the way that they're glowing, I feel like I just got hit with the flashbang. I feel like I can hear the heavens singing just by looking at this right now. But let's not waste some more time. Let's get right into it. Do me a big favor. Go ahead and hit that like button. Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel, as all these things help with the channel moving forward. And without any further ado, let's get into it. I mean, sweet Jesus, they all look good. Yo, that's a shot right there. Worldwide handsome. The Golden Matinee. J-Hope, V, Sugar. Ping pong. He looks damn good while he does it. Lord have mercy. Look at these 7 goats. These are the 7 members of BTS, ladies and gentlemen, who paid the way so that other K-pop groups could run just to make it to now. All the successes that they have now, they had to crawl so that others could run. The goats. Undefeated, the King of Kings. Is this the group with over 800 awards? With over 26 Guinness World Records and counting? The first K-pop group to ever hit the Billboard 200? A K-pop group with a Grammy nomination. The first Asian group to win Artist of the Year award at the American Music Awards. And with over 5 billion streams on Spotify and counting, because Lord knows that number is going to blow the hell up in any hater's face, going all the way up till March 20th and then blow up in your goddamn face again. These are the 7. That's all you got to say. The 7 what, Mart? No, the 7. When it comes to K-pop, there's only 7 artists who have been able to achieve such great heights. They are the 7. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful. Again, shout out to GQ for presenting this to us. Such marvelous and fantastic shot throughout the entirety of this thing. And then again, to spoil us with an article as well. Let's get it right into it. Wait, hold on. I'm getting something. Wait, what was that? Guys, I've just been informed that BTS is actually the first Korean artist to cover GQ in 15 different countries. Now let's get on to the article, shall we? I had to just do that breaking news. So BTS actually went and did there's actually a little article on BTS on GQ's website. First of all, this picture, this could have been the album cover right here. In all seriousness though, that is dope. This could be an album cover. This is quite the photo. So it starts off by saying that the members of BTS, the 7 of them have been in the band together since the early 2010s, since they were all teenagers but had not lived in the same place since 2019. After a few years apart, fulfilling their service and tending to the solo careers, it was time to get back to work. We do 6 days a week like businessmen, says RM, the band's leader. They followed a strict routine, training together in the gym in the morning, coming back home for lunch, reporting to the studio by 1 p.m. and working with various songwriters and producers on new songs until 8 p.m. after which they'd go back home and repeat the process again and again and again. Most of us only work 5 days a week. These boys were putting in 6 days a week. Living in one house as roommates once again, BTS were inadvertently doing a simulation of life before superstardom. Back to their days as trainees for big hit entertainment, when they would have given anything just to debut. This was before they sold over 500 million units and racked up over 104 billion streams worldwide. So they became roommates again. This is pretty interesting. Talk about really getting back to basics. They took it back before they had even blown up by becoming roommates again, which is absolutely crazy. Again, to kind of remind them of where it all started. Remember to never forget where you came from, and you're never too good to remember where you came from as well. And BTS proved that here by going back and even becoming roommates again. Before they became the first Korean band to be nominated for a Grammy, to top Billboard 200 and the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart, to speak at the United Nations, before they became a global cultural force, the best-selling Asian act ever, and one of the best-selling groups of any genre, any nation, anytime, period. Big Hit Entertainment, with an underdog record label in Seoul, signed a 16-year-old RM who was already making a name for himself as a prodigious rapper in the local underground hip-hop scene. Sorry, my vocabulary is not very high, and I'm not the best reader either. Suga, a songwriter and rapper who also had a presence in the scene, and J-Hope, a b-boy dancer turned rapper, joined shortly after. Sensing a more lucrative opportunity, the company changed its plans and turned the hip-hop trio into a K-pop band, eventually creating a unique 7-member lineup that bridged the edginess of the underground rappers with the shiny commercial appeal of a more traditional idol group. Jin, an acting major, eventually proved himself a strong vocalist. JK, the youngest and one of its most versatile singers, soon grew into an all-round performer. And then there was V, with his deep baritone and model good looks, adding a cosmopolitan polish to the proceedings. Rounding out the group was Jimin, a trained dancer who brought his performance skills and a higher-pitched, utterly distinctive voice to the mix. I'm going to take a pause real quick just to say I like how informative this is for anybody who's not. Of course, all of us armies, especially on this channel, know exactly all this so far. I mean, this is no new news to us, but this is nice to see for anybody who is becoming a new fan of BTS, and maybe this is one of the first times they're discovering them. They are getting a great background and introduction into who BTS is and how it kind of all started. And again, I'm not going to complain. I always like to be reminded of how it all started. Even though I know as much as all of you do, it's nice to see how all 7 different boys were completely different, came together to end up creating one of the greatest, if not the greatest group to ever live, especially the greatest group to ever come out of Korea. I mean, we can definitely admit that. Worldwide, though, in my opinion, they are the greatest group to ever live. In a few short years, the scrappy underdog act was giving groups from South Korea's big 3 entertainment companies, SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, and JYP Entertainment, a run for their money before becoming the local industry's #1 band and later transcending the scene altogether, becoming a worldwide phenomenon. For those 2 months in LA, back together in the same house, the boys, now men in their late 20s and early 30s, worked day in and day out, all in effort to make the best possible album. Which, by the way, we know that we're getting a documentary. This was one of the reasons they had gone to LA. Besides, you know, with the album and stuff, we know that they filmed like a documentary while they were down there as well. And I think it's interesting when you go back and rewatch the time of them on the beach. There's a point where you can actually see all the cameras filming them. They were filming the documentary then as well. So we'll probably maybe get to see that scene during the movie, which I believe is going to be premiering on Netflix as well, along with the live performance. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe so. I could be completely wrong. It could be showing in theaters as well, but you guys let me know. Haven't been too caught up with that of how the documentary will be shown. They worked as if digging for pieces of gold like they did in the early days, and I think we kind of found one, RM says, referring to their 5th studio album and their first in nearly 6 years, which of course will come with a colossal world tour, which your boy got tickets to. Arlington Day 2, shout out to my people, stand up. It's the most eagerly anticipated comeback in recent music history, inspiring a kind of feverish excitement reminiscent of when Elvis returned from the army in 1960. And nothing against Elvis Presley, but again, somewhat comparable to the return of Elvis. However, I believe this will overcome and be the greatest return of music history, period. Even until the end of days, when the earth no longer exists, BTS will still hold the greatest comeback in music history. I had said it back then, a year and a half ago, that they were going to have the greatest return in history. They will go down as having the greatest return of all time. And then before it gets into the next paragraph, I mean, we got to take a break, right? Damn. The personal pressure is huge, he said on December 6th live stream. Since last month, I haven't been able to sleep. I was thinking about whether I should get a prescription for sleeping pills. I've wondered thousands of times, would it be better for the team to disband or go on hiatus? The strain is understandable. The stakes are almost too high, nearly 6 years on from their last studio album. Can BTS deliver a body of work that meets the anticipation from that long wait? Almost 4 years after the last performing together, is the magic still there, or has their time apart changed in ways that make it difficult to go back to the way things were? In helping bringing South Korea's music scene to the center of global pop, they also have the hopes of an entire nation on their backs, not to mention adoration and dreams of their earth-spanning army. RM is like the identity of the group, V says. He's the core leader of the group. He must feel so much more pressure than the rest of us do. I usually don't have that much pressure, but it seems like he does. Again, V just giving his respect, as all of them do to their leader, right? To RM being the leader, he does have a different kind of pressure than the boys do. V being a little bit modest here, saying that he normally doesn't have any pressure, which isn't exactly true. They all have pressure. Let's be honest. Being the biggest group in the world comes with a lot of pressure. With him being the leader, he does take on a lot more responsibilities, which does come with a lot of pressure. However, when he says he doesn't have much pressure, this may be to the good leadership of RM naturally being able to take on so much more pressure, in fact, that it feels like V doesn't have to take on any pressure, if hardly ever at all, which goes to great lengths to show of how tremendous of a leader RM really is, and how much the boys love and respect their leader as well. Oh, good Lord. What I feel about the 7 BTS guys, said Coldplay frontman Chris Martin, is that they have been, it seems, from knowing them a bit, made closer by that very intense process. Martin and Coldplay collaborated with the BTS on the #1 hit by My Universe. Was really happy that it seemed like they had each other's backs. They are very tight personally, and they intertwine very well. They don't tread on each other's toes too much. Their distinct roles, the love between them is real. That was the most striking thing, love in a very intense situation. And that's why we love bands sometimes. We don't really know why. Why is the group of the 7 people a magical thing, bigger than the sum of its parts? Beyond the fact that they work extraordinarily hard and that they were kind to each other and they love what they do, there's a certain magic that I don't know how to explain. Oh my. Nearly all male South Korean citizens between ages of 18 and 28 are required to serve for roughly 18 to 21 months in the military due to the permanent threat of the conflict with North Korea. Almost no one gets an exemption. Before they enlisted, there was some speculation that the members of BTS would be granted one. After all, they were particularly national treasures, but they soon surprised the world by enlisting, staggering their service, with Jin going in first and Suga completing it last, so that there would always be BTS members active in the public sphere as solo performers, a highly coordinated effort that ensured their beloved army would never miss their presence. By fulfilling their military duty in roles as varied and drilling instructors like Jin and J-Hope, to military cooks like JK, to special task force like V, the members were able to experience the tedium and routine of daily life with their fellow 20-something Korean citizens. Suga, for example, served as a public service worker reportedly due to a shoulder injury, going from headlining stadiums around the world to clocking in at an office. I was actually never late to the office, Suga says proudly. I always came in 10 minutes early. I got ready for whatever I had to do for the day. It was at first weird for me to always get to the same place on time and always go home at the same place on time, but I got used to it, and later it just became part of me. Before I went to the service, I would usually work on music at nighttime or very late at night, but I actually used to daytime work on songs after I got discharged. Being put into a totally different world for us and adapting was, of course, difficult, J-Hope admits, but humans are funny because they learn to adapt pretty quickly. I do feel that I have become healthier and I got to learn more about life and different sides of society. I also got to know a lot of new people, which was a big plus. And being in the military and serving in the military is something that every man in Korea has to go through. Holy schnapple. Apart, the 7 grew professionally. Each member released distinct, impressively fully formed projects, from Jack in the Box to The Astronaut to Jungkook 7 to Like Crazy with Jimin to RM's Right Place, Wrong Person, Suga completing his 3rd release as his alter ego August D during the break. Also with V's Layover, The past few years have showcased that the members of B stretching artistically. They've collaborated with legends to bring their versions to life. As a result, the seven had blossomed with their own unique obsessions and increasingly distinct ways of doing things. Pop star Halsey, who worked with the band back in 2019 with their hit single Boy With Love, paid close attention to each member's artistry. They have all such unique solo journeys and truly reflect their individual style and strengths, she said in an email. I wasn't surprised necessarily, but really impressed with how tastefully their solo work was handled. I think that the most exciting thing about everyone's projects was getting to see them flourish as songwriters and watch their personal flair come front and center. And Halsey hits this nail right on the head, right? I mean, this is exactly what we've all been saying, and I absolutely 100% agree. With the boys being able to come out with their own individual projects, you really get to see how each style is exactly different. None of them sound exactly like the other. And again, this is very impressive when you think about the fact that because all seven of them are different, it shouldn't work, but it does work. That is the creative geniusness of BTS. Whereas other groups may have a few artists who may sound similar and or have a lot of similarities that bring them together to make it work, BTS in fact has very different unique styles among the seven of them, but being able to bring these seven different styles and make beautiful, wonderful, and amazing music is truly a miracle, and it's beautiful to watch and see. It shouldn't work, but BTS manages to defy the odds by being able to do this, which is again, really inspiring and a tremendous thing to see. What I really love about working solo is that you just get to learn more about your taste, especially when you're collaborating with these music legends, says J-Hope, and you get to learn more about yourself. You get to learn more about your colors, what kind of taste you have. I think it was a steep learning curve for me to be able to do that, he continues. That's why I think it's more meaningful that we're coming together as a group. I got to learn a lot, and experiences are invaluable. You can't buy that with money. I like this ping pong shot. It's a little bit interesting. It's a little bit out of left field, like they're hitting a ping pong ball and playing ping pong. It's just not a shot that I was expecting, but I absolutely love it. I mean, it's still cute. I love it. I would love to have this as like a poster on my wall. Despite their explosive solo successes, there was never any real doubt in their minds that they would be getting back together. I know we're here because we are a team, and we started as a team, and we very much acknowledge that, Jimin says. Also, we have a lot of fun together. We all treasure BTS more than we treasure each one of us separately, says V. We debuted as a group, so I think that's the core identity that we have. It doesn't always or maybe ever happen this way. Do you remember when NSYNC went on hiatus after Justin Timberlake wanted to pursue his own career? A temporary break that eventually became permanent as his solo career earned him in the industry credibility the band never had. See, and not to be mean, that's when you go back and watch NSYNC, it was clear from the start that JT was just the star of NSYNC. I mean, can we be honest with that? Absolutely love NSYNC, love their music, but it was clear that unfortunately for JT, if he wanted to see his real potential, unfortunately he was going to have to leave the group. That wasn't saying that any other member of the group didn't have potential. It's just that the ceiling for JT was at an all-time high, and he wasn't going to be able to reach this, being kind of held back just a little bit because of the group. Same thing can be said honestly about Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. Michael had to go solo. In fact, he knew this so that he could prosper and develop into the artist that he knows he can be. Something he wasn't going to be able to do being a member of the Jackson 5 365 days a year, touring all the time. It was always clear to Michael that he wanted to make his own music separately from the group. And again, to be able to know exactly what his ceiling was and at what potential he really had, he unfortunately had to leave the group. This is something that doesn't get in the way of BTS. Although all the members have a very high ceiling and lots of potential with their solo works, their group doesn't get in the way of that. They don't allow it to. The group together as BTS is not a burden. And in fact, they inspire and motivate each other to work on their solo projects. It's not something that gets in the way of the group and or causes the other group members to get mad, frustrated, or maybe even jealous. They love and respect one another enough to motivate each other to want to pursue solo careers. But still, however, having that foundation to remember, again, where we all started. We started as a team and we very much acknowledge that. We all treasure BTS more than we treasure each and one of us separately, says V. We debuted as a group. I think that's core identity that we have. And lots of haters all the time talk about, oh, this is the last time that BTS will ever perform together and yada, yada, yada. We don't know what's in stake for BTS, and that's an important thing to bring up. BTS are going to do whatever BTS is going to do. I fully acknowledge that, and I'm in full support of whatever they choose to do moving forward. However, after this worldwide tour, they could go on years of doing solo works, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the group has broken up. They've just chose to focus on each other individually, and that's fine. However, all the haters will come out and say that they broke up, they broke up, they broke up. And no, that is not true. Individually, them working on each other's solo projects is them bettering themselves. Again, you heard J-Hope say that it's a way to experience, learn more about yourself and your taste and however you like to do things. You can go and do that without having to break up the group. I want to acknowledge that. This group will never break up. They will continue to be BTS. However, even when they go on their solo projects, they still introduce themselves as not as JK. I'm not Jimin. I'm not V. I'm not RM. They say, I'm Jimin of BTS. I'm V of BTS. I'm RM of BTS. They are down and out for BTS and ARMY through and through until the very, very end. In September of 2013, when BTS hit their 100-day milestone, they marked the occasion with a special radio show celebrating with cake, Gidley singing, and congratulations to one another. Watching the clip now, almost 13 years later, it's striking how much none of what followed seemed a given at the time. Not the massive hits in South Korea, the devoted fan base that helped them break them around the world, their current status as pioneers, as superstars. The Bangtan Boys were just that, boys, dreaming of what could be, hoping for the best. On the program, Suga said that in Korea, it's been exactly 100 days since we debuted. I think we've been able to make it this far, all thanks to our armies. Looking at his bandmates, he continued, whether it's 100, 1,000, or 10,000 days, let's stay together. With no hesitation, his bandmates responded in unison, let's stay together. Sitting down with the band now shortly before their grand return, I asked Suga if it still feels that way, if the next 100, 1,000, and 10,000 days still feel promised. Suga says, the reason I said that was because in the earlier days of showbiz, there's so much going on and your lifespan can be pretty short in the business. Suga says, reflecting on that time in their life together, I was worried until when we would be able to do this. But now I ask the same question under a positive light. We're still very good friends. The fans still love us. They want us. They support us. If we keep this going, then we can be dancing in our 60s. As long as we're willing, I think maybe in our 50s into our 60s, we can always be together as a band. Then looking at the 6 bandmates he already lived a few lifetimes with, Suga smiles and says, maybe it'll be a little bit hard on our knees, but I think we can do that. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to go ahead and do it right there. I'll probably leave quite a few parts out just because I want you guys to go read this article for yourselves. It is a beautiful article to read. And I actually really enjoyed this. Lots of insightful things. And also, again, for new people who are becoming fans and or baby armies, this is an exciting article to read. It gives you the background of where everything kind of started into their military discharge, and then after the military discharge up to this point. So I do definitely recommend going to read this article. Plus, it was going to be a lot of editing for me. I mean, I've already been reading this for about an hour and a half. I'm a slow reader, I'm sorry. I will say I wanted to go and order this magazine, and in fact, you can go and order the magazine. Just know that if you're in the States, at least for me, it says $7, but with shipping an additional like 33, you're gonna end up paying somewhere around $45. And I don't mind paying that for this magazine. I truly don't. I actually really want it. I'm just unable to do that at this time. Hopefully it's still in stock, maybe a little bit, or in a couple days when I get paid again. But I won't lie to you guys, I just can definitely afford it. I just am picking and choosing with everything going on in my life right now. A wedding I gotta go to, on a vacation in San Antonio very soon. The Arlington trip, I'm very cautious about where I exactly spend my money, even though I really, really want this. I think I'm going to hold off on it for a little bit while longer, but if you want it, definitely go cop it. It is in the Weverse shop, and yeah, it's about $45 after shipping if you live in the US. But that's gonna go to do right there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Do me a big favor, go ahead and hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, as all these things help with the channel moving forward. And until next time, peace.